Now, NDC is the cause of galamsey in Ghana. And Joynews etumno wama time for Dennis Aboagye de mema on tnaho on chanadwin as a panelist and there will be a wato nsa wada friend to come na on share nadwin. But what's the kaseno sirko do be pedubino? What's the no? Akoi, we are going to give him the platform to tell Ghanaians the truth once and for all. Now, in a shocking interview, move to a presentation. Not Kasanu through the BB. It has exposed the very thing we want to hear, which is the truth and nothing but the truth. You watch your video to the end. Share video.
Most importantly, it's not even to determine who did better or who is doing worse, but to get all of us to acknowledge which methods actually may work for us.
Okay.
And to determine which ones we have tried before and which ones we cannot adopt. My view is that the manner in which the conversation is going, if we don't take care, we may end up staying in the Kufuor blame scenario which we suffered for 8 years and really not get any results. I really would not have gone into this conversation, but for the response that His Excellency the President gave at the media engagement. There are cues in there, several cues. Number one, in the President's response, he strategically brought in an 8-year period conversation. What it does is that it's preparing the minds of the citizens.
He said galamsey has gotten worse in the last 8 years.
He said if you look at the damage that
has been done in the last 8 years. Okay.
What it means is that if you don't take care, President His Excellency is preparing the minds of the citizens to stay in a certain period. So he can be seen as the savior who can do the minimum and still feel good about it. And that for me is where the challenge is. Number two, I have always felt, and I've looked through a lot of reports, and I feel that His Excellency the President's commitment towards the fight of galamsey is very low. And it didn't really start today. There seems to be a certain tendency of he laying back and doing the barest minimum he could do when it comes to the fight. And that's why I describe him as the biggest enabler of galamsey in this country. The fact that he believes that it's okay for the country to spend proceeds of crime, illegal money, it doesn't matter where it comes from, so long as the money has come, I think I have a problem with that. I also feel that leadership must be consistent, leadership must be responsible, leadership must be accountable to the people. This really has very little to do with MPP and NDC, but more to do with who has the responsibility to deal with the issues. And let's all acknowledge that another Danko Kufuor that you would want to reference, indeed, could not complete the process of the fight against galamsey. And galamsey Council is one of the top 5 reasons why Nana Addo and the MPP lost power. Indeed, if you are to list the top 3 reasons why the MPP lost power, galamsey will be in it. What it means is that it's completely moot. It's a very dormant excuse to try to use Nana Danko Kufuor to make an excuse. That notwithstanding, let's not make the conversation about Kufuor. Let's make the conversation about triggering the president to wake up and do what he needs to do to give us results, especially based on the promises that he himself made. So we look at galamsey, and if you talk to a 24-year-old in 2024, they are likely to let you understand that galamsey started in 2017. In fact, in 2024, the 24-year-old was probably 10 years old in 2010. The 18-year-old was probably 4 years old in 2010. And so a lot of the people who went to vote, or about 3 million of the voters who actually took the decision in 2024, lived under the impression that they are voting against a government that is complicit in galamsey. They are voting against a government that introduced galamsey. And they were voting for a government that whose presence will simply eliminate galamsey. And for me, that is one of the biggest lies that was told in the previous elections. And if we don't deal with it now, it would continue to serve as a cover and a shade for the president for him to do little or nothing. Remember, he has been a president before at a time when there was galamsey and he failed to deal with it. So what are the issues? My view is that mining didn't start today in Ghana. Indeed, if we look at all the records, it predates even colonial era. Even the galamsey that we refer to predates our age. However, the galamsey that we see on river bodies and forest areas now is the type of galamsey that we all acknowledge started between 2010 all the way to we're experiencing now. That is fact. Unfortunately, when we had the cause and the reason to fight galamsey and fight it head on, the impression was created as if some people were actually the one who came to office, introduced the menace, and for which reason we are all grappling with, and we need to get them out. Council, I think that the way the president and the NDC managed to turn the entire country against Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the way they managed to politicize galamsey is one of the reasons why Akufo-Addo could not complete the process of the fight against galamsey. And I'll tell you why. Akufo-Addo remains the only president since the kind of galamsey we are seeing today popped up, which includes the current president during his time in the first term, that was able to show proof of concept that indeed, if we put certain steps in place, we could clear our water bodies. It's Akufo-Addo. None of them. Mahama couldn't do it, His Excellency. Professor Atamils could not do it. It was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that showed us our water could clean up. And for me, I feel really sad that we allowed the president and the NDC to mislead the entire country. And then eventually now he has power and he still wants to hide under the same cover and do very little or almost nothing. In the year 2010, 2011, Anas Arimeyao Anas and the Al Jazeera actually did a documentary. And that documentary vividly described the galamsey situation and the water bodies. Something, if it was played today and the dates or the years are not mentioned to you, you may think was 2024 or 2022. Let's watch that video and come back quickly.
Galamsey rather seriously. Let's see how we can solve that problem, because this is a clear indication of some of the effects, yes, of galamsey.
Far from being tackled, galamsey is now so widespread. Miners are moving onto the river itself. Strange new boats are appearing that can suck up silt from the riverbed, sidestepping the need to dig pits along the river banks. But the constant churning has turned once pristine waters murky brown. The shorelines are scarred. Cocoa plantations crushed by the heavy machinery that is dragged across them.
This is a kind of distraction that we see in the society.
This description from Anas Arimeyao Anas. You heard Professor Mills speak. The point I wanted to make here is that let's kill that lie. I mean, they are in government now. Let's not sustain it. Because if you sustain it, what it means is that it doesn't wake the president up to find it urgent, because he could always come and tell us that, listen, I'm the one trying to help. I'm the one trying to solve, so give me time. But he doesn't have time. Because this happened under his tenure. This happened when he was president. And there are several screenshots of stories then. If you can scroll to the stories that we have. Report of galamsey, report of people dying during his tenure, when he was vice president, before eventually he became, president. Please keep scrolling. Scroll for me. There are stories. Go. Just keep going. Keep going. So these headlines, 10 galamsey operators buried alive. Please move to the next slide. Yes, stop galamsey now. This is March 2010. Several stories. Please move on. Another galamsey tragedy, 12 trapped to death. Please move on. Flood. Males angered by harmful effects of galamsey. 2011. 300 people died of galamsey in 2011. Move on. So the point we are making here, court not helping fight against galamsey. This is honorable for some people. Let's stay on this. Now, this is a report that was made on galamsey situation between 2011 and 2015. A period where the president now was vice president and president. Now, he says area of galamsey has more than tripled from 2011 to 2015, from 10,907 to 36,000 hectares. Galamsey is affecting major rivers of Ofin, Ankobra, Brim, and Tano. In 2013, an estimated area of 551,000 was affected by galamsey pollution. This is a period between 2011 and 2015. This was at a time when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was in opposition. It was a major issue. Please move to the next slide. Major matter within the period. And you can see the level of devastation. Galamsey worsened in 2010 and water pollution increased. Please move on. So these stories that I have basically run us through, something you realize that if I covered the dates and I read these headlines to you, the likelihood you may think they are between 2017 and 2025 is high.
That's true.
These headlines, these are almost the same headlines we are running today. And so it is completely wrong for the government of the day, in an attempt to find a solution to Galamsey, to continuously create an impression as if they are our saviors. No, they introduced it. And when I say they introduced it, I'm not saying they are mining. They were the ones mining. Indeed, let me tell you something. In the year 2016, in the year 2013, please go back a bit. In 2013, John Dramani Mahama, the president, had a course to set up an interministerial task force to fight Galamsey. Now, guess what? The interministerial task force had the responsibility to go to the mining area, arrest Galamseyers, burn excavators, burn chamfans, arrest the foreigners, and deport them to their country. It was their mandate.
Right. Honorable
Anatete was there. Inusa Fuseni Honorable was the chairman. Mahama Yariga, now majority leader Honorable, was a member. He was the environment minister. Mahama Yariga, at a point, September 2016, this was like 3 months to elections, said that he has given up on the fight against Galamsey. Indeed, he said, I called the EPA boss, I called the Minerals Commission boss, and I told all of them, look, we cannot win this fight, and that we need to look at an approach. At some point, Mahama Yariga was advocating for regularizing the illegal mining, making the point that once they mine and it can be covered, we are fine. Never within this period did you ever hear Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo or anybody from the MPP period between 2010 and 2016 actually attacking President Mahama and accusing him of doing Galamsey at that time. Nobody ever did that, and we should put that on record. What Nana Addo did was that when 2016 September, the issue became a burning matter, 3 months to election, he said, I am proposing an alternate way of dealing with this. And I think that if we're able to put that in place, it would work. Vote for me, and let's see how we can deal with it. Nana Akufo-Addo won the elections. Fast forward, council. In the first 3 months of Akufo-Addo being sworn in, April, it was 3 months. And I hear the president says, it's just 8 months. Let it be put on record. When Nana Addo was sworn in on January 7, 2017, Galamsey had been running since, at least in a major way like this, from 2010. Akufo-Addo never told the country that I have just come. Please give me time, because you know that this problem has been created during the Mahama era, and so give me time, let me work on it. No, he swung straight into action. He called the media, he called civil society organizations, they sat down, they realized that the place was too chaotic, and the best approach to deal with it was to place a pause on it so they can look at how to deal with it. So, I think in April 2017, Nana Addo placed a ban on all forms of small-scale mining in this country. It was a first 6 months ban, but eventually it ran for 20 months. Council, 20 months of a period in this country, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo placed a ban on mining. That was the time Nana Addo now embedded media houses and CSOs with the military and the police in the fight against Galamsey. Multimedia, fully embedded. When the military and helicopters, the media people are with them, taking drone shots, taking area shots and all of that. I dare say that it was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's strategy of bringing the media into this fight that actually brought real-time update to the Ghanaian people, and I think it was one of his unmaking and undoing. Because within that period, now Ghanaians began to follow in real time the issues of Galamsey. And think about it. These 16, 17 years, 11 years, 18 years old at the time they were like 6, 5, 4 years in 2010. So their eyes opened in the Nana Addo era at a time when you could see Galamsey fight everywhere. Then the NDC said, oh, we'll help you, let's do it, all manner of things, because they realized that people were interested. By December 17, 2018, our water bodies had started clearing up. Council, the water bodies that were brownish, Milo color, had started clearing up. And we should watch this video.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, media houses reported, please, if you have the video of our water bodies clearing up, please, let's play that. I think it was a City Report video that I have, to be played.
This is the first water body that we are visiting in the Chebi area. Ni, you were here some 3 months ago before the fight against illegal mining. Give me a picture of what the river was and now.
Yeah, Kojo, when I visited this particular place in February,
was muddy. The water was muddy. Galamsey operators were busy on site working. They had diverted its course. Indeed, they had blocked it, and then they were using the water for mining purposes. But as we can see here today, even look at the speed at which...
So, I mean, it's a long video. We don't have enough time. So the evidence is that Nanado actually showed proof of concept. That indeed, if we stop the kind of mining we're doing, our water bodies could clean up. You remember at some point, people were only saying that, oh, it is when the rainy seasons come and we know it rains, it washes the mud into our waters. And so this was proof that Galamsey is actually the reason why our water bodies were the way they are. So he introduced reforms within the period of the ban, together with CSOs, several of them. Several strategies were put in place. And some of the things that we see today, and there's also one of the points I made, that's something. We cannot have run a strategy for 8 years, which we all admit did not give us the desired results as at the time Nanado was living. And then you promise us heaven and earth. Then when you come to office and you are doing nothing and we ask you to show us what you have done so far, you are showing us the same things you came to meet ongoing when you were in opposition and you were criticizing. So look at the, let's go back to a few of the slides. Nanado was doing arrest, ban, and prosecute. Nanado introduced easy way and convenient way of making sure that the locals will have some safer way of doing mining. So these are mercury machines that were introduced to some of the community people so that instead of they going into the water, they stay onshore and use the machine to safely mine. Nanado introduced the water guards. I'm sure you have heard that anytime you ask this government one of the things they've done, one of the key things they mention is water guard. Something, let me show you evidence of water guard. Please go back. I think the water guard guys are either before this. So these water guards were introduced during the Nanado time. Here they are. First batch of 300 river guards begin training on Eastern River. Please move on. They were trained, they were deployed, they went into our river bodies, they started working. It still did not give us our results. Remember, at the time they were doing this, the same government that is telling us that what he has done so far is water guard, were criticizing these things. Now, when the water started clearing up to somewhere 2021, 2022, you know what happened? The NDC turned around. They turned around. But even before 2022, we were in 2019 going into 2020 elections. The NDC, who were supposed to work with the government for us to get results, now begins to go to the mining site and tell the miners that, you see, Akufo-Addo has stopped all of you from mining. We are coming into another election. Please vote for us. When we come to office, we'll allow you mine. And these are serious statements and commentaries that support the point I made that they are enablers of Galamsey. Let's watch this video.
After on the 11th, on the 7th, and she say, at the mom, because on one of us, I got now. Said the Bay, you know, no brave or my Jumata. Most would not have seen it. Now, so that's how the machine was 1 month. I'll be quite high. Now, so the Abba Juma. Now, so do criminal call for Friday. Eddie, and 2 o'clock to Abana, John Daman Mahama, they do that. And then my assistant, and then I will pay and no for Mansoudia. I saw the Galamsey, why not you born of the woman? On say 2 about 4 years, maybe a human, young came to me. I might say because of the other 2 about and a woman for watching the union, he said, young to me, the young person, Galamsey, Ghana betu Galamsey. And I do man a year and so see in another vanguard for no that over. And the players are crackers say, Yetu Abaria, Mubesha, Vanguard in Mukina. Yayan
Yaban, Omo Mochi or Mogalamsey, no, or Matu Mumu, Yabama or Amnesty, no Masaba.
You are useless. You have no business governing. You have no business governing. And then he says, let us come, you and we should come together. We who want to rebuild Ghana and protect our environment. We should come together with you Galamseyers so that you influence us to do the Galamsey together or what? We should come together and do what? Can good and evil come together?
want a ban on all forms of mining. We want a state of emergency.
Declare a state of emergency.
Just as we declared lockdown during COVID, let there be a certain declaration.
Yes, I think that national emergency be declared now.
And it is his responsibility to deal with Galamsey now.
I get very passionate when I talk about Galamsey issues because I think the president has failed. And this is not politics. This is about leadership.
A few moments later.
Implementing a state of emergency.
You see, Council, the point I'm making here is this. When Nanado started fighting Galamsey, everybody was happy. We got results. When we got results and we're going into 2020 elections, the NDC that were burning excavators in 2015, 2016 and set up a task force now goes to the mining people and tell them that these people, they are wicked people. In fact, one of the people in the video with Koku Boye was the president of the Small Scale Mining Association, Michael Prepra, actually telling them the Galamsey that he also does Galamsey. And that when they win elections, they should come and do Galamsey. That was in the 2020 elections. The president told the mining community that when he becomes president, he is going to grant amnesty to people who have been arrested, presented in court, convicted, and jailed. He will give them amnesty. These are two additional support to the fact that he enables Galamsey. Then fast forward, between 2022 and 2024, the government that was fighting the president for banning and arresting Galamsey now says that the president is not fighting Galamsey. Vote for us. When we come, we'll fight Galamsey. Then he lists 6 promises, one of which includes, I will place a ban on Galamsey in the first 120 days. Again, it is 8 months. You say 8 months is short, and yet the one you even said you will do in 120 days, you have not done it. That is a worry. Then you go on to tell the whole country, and I was shocked to the bone when the president actually told the entire country that it doesn't matter whether it is legal or illegal. After all, it is our environment that they are destroying. And so if the money comes to us, it's better than it goes to private pockets. A country cannot be seen to be exporting proceeds of crime or to be exporting money that people's blood and people's lives are dependent on it.
All right.
We are telling the president that, unlike they did when they were in opposition and turned the entire country against the only man, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who showed proof of concept, we in the MPP are willing and ready to cooperate with government if they take action to be able to end Galamsey.
Thank you. Good
at the moment, they have not taken any decisive action different from what they met in office, and that for me,
so they shouldn't expect any good results.
And then we can
take your seat and let's continue from here. Dennis Miracles there showing us what he says is Akufo-Addo who had the proof of concept.